Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we doing today? My friend was talking to me about this situation, so I want to just go ahead and read it out. The story of a lifetime, to the best of my ability, but yet it goes back further into time. The story started at the housing team with Aunt Caroline Smith and Casey Robinson, Alexis Blackman or Boynton, and Marquita Martin or Johnson, or however it went. Miss Caroline had got me signed up for all the programs. I think 2017, actually, 2016. Lived in the thing for almost 6 years, 4 years, until they started attacking me. Which was the first. Blue L lived in the front. Kevin Bayou lived across the hall. Aunt Denise Bates lived upstairs with Sabrina, and Miss Cott would visit all the time, and Aunt Tay would visit. Uncle, who's missing? Uncle Frank's niece lived in the front, and then my other auntie lived downstairs. So that's just that one. And the whole family was out there in Harvard Place Apartments, and they should still be there. But anyway, so Dezmond, where are we gonna go? Right, so Alexis was working at the Jerusalem House. They were all working at the Jerusalem House, Aid Atlanta Housing Program, and it's for 3 different programs, to sign up for. Alexis had locked Dez up in the crisis center the same day he was working on Uncle Damon and Uncle Arthur's car, the white car, the Hyundai or the Honda. He was changing the oil plug, doing the oil change on it, practicing John Legend's song. All of me. Dezmond had to call the police department from Lithonia Crisis Center and get in touch with Uncle Carl Williams and Uncle Terrence and the guys, because he was OTF'd out of his home illegally. He thought something was wrong with him, and it was supposed to really have been a surprise, but it didn't work out that way. There was another person who looked just like him around the corner, might have been Uncle Leon or Uncle Leo or Kirk, one of the other relatives. And Dezmond was stuck in there in the crisis center for almost 10 days. And the whole 10 days someone else was in his house. In his apartment, 1003, over in Harvard Place Apartments. The police came to the house. Alexis Blackman called the police while Dez was still working on Uncle Damon's white Honda, doing a drain plug, like I said. Was having heart problems, had already been sick. In Harvard Place Apartments in Lithonia. One of the properties that I inherited, from Priscilla Presley and Charles and all them, and Mr. Williams and Daisy. Also, Omiris was with her all the time, and they both pursued Dezmond. They were at the crisis center laughing at, that's a good one, all like that and stuff. But they never did what they were supposed to do. They did not do their job at all. And Marquita did have the check in her hand in front of the door while she was trying to break in the same day me and Angela had to deal with Marquisha. He had to go stay with Denise Bates upstairs until someone came to help him. His heart was messing up then. He's always had a heart problem, heart rhythm. And went off into AFib, and then he went to stay with Morris Brown, his nurse, Aunt Jessica, and Aunt Pam sent Dezmond to stay over there, only temporarily for about 30 days until they got done reassessing his house and getting everything fixed and putting it back in his own place. It was just moving to the front apartment, putting it back to the front. That's all. He was supposed to went and got a wage print out that day. Alexis was supposed to take Dezmond to the unemployment office to get his wage print out showing that everything was paid. The money that was missing was in Dezmond's toolbox from Mac Tools, which is still under warranty in his name. It was in the tool shed, and then the other money was in the laundry room up top. The guys wouldn't let Dezmond go into his own laundry room. They wouldn't let him, into the tool shed to get his own stuff. They had already stole his tool shed out and walked down the street with his tool shed and the money. So, from that, Desmond to stay at the Morris Brown's house, and the same police officer followed Desmond all the way over there, too, and started messing with him again. And so did Mr. Brown. But he was set up directly from the doctor for 30 days, just temporarily. And Derek Clayton was supposed to come and pick Dez up because he didn't want to be there like that. He had pneumonia, he had fluid in his lungs, he had to lay on his ground, and it took his captors in the living room, right there in the main room, by the window you can see outside. That's Tootsie's couch from the basement, and Rita was across the street at that time. I don't know who else was with her. And Vanessa was around the corner waiting for him to walk down the street. Dezmond could not walk all the way to her house because he couldn't breathe and his heart still messed him. He had to lay still until he got well enough to do that. And at the same time, they locked him up again in Fulton County, the same police officers. To Morris Brown, I asked Dez to get some milk on the way in. Kimberly Garvin was on her way into town that Christmas to retrieve Dez and take him home to his house, because she was going to be staying, her and the kids. And they were already in the back, so was Uncle Steve Ingram. They were already here to pick him up on Donald Lee. Morris Brown had realized that milk was already purchased. Morris Brown attacked Dezmond in the kitchen, verbally. Dezmond didn't know what was going on. Dezmond started going to the phone. He said, he just get his stuff and going back outside. His friends already here. They're already here. Let's go. The police came in and they handcuffed Dezmond illegally. There was no fight. There was no knife. Nothing. And then handcuffed him over there at MLK at the smaller station. And then the guy put something on Dezmond, the same police officer. Dezmond was released the next day on the 22nd or 23rd of December. They lost his paperwork 2 or 3 times, and they kept locking Dezmond back in the jail cell. The lady came and picked him up 2 or 3 times. Right when they started to take Dezmond to get his clothes, they ended up putting him in the nurse area, and they attacked him again. And then they turned around and put Dezmond back in the jail when he was already released. And then the dude kept saying, I'll send someone to pick you up, and then the lady comes and removes Dezmond and puts Dezmond back out. He was free to leave already. They did that for 3 months. Dezmond's heart was messing up back to back to back with x-rays showing proof in all 3 jails how many times he had heart failure. So anyway, Dezmond went back to Lithonia to do some auto work on his cousin's car with arguing with her father the whole time, which is I think it was Sadie's father, Marcus or whoever it is, I can't remember, but they never stopped stealing from him. And he got a few clothes out of the Dodge Avenger, which is his Dodge Avenger that Mr. Martin gave him along with Brandon Cotton. And he paid it off with Title Max. They flipped it over. It was only $300 left on the card, and it was paid off by Dezmond. The only thing wrong with it was the water pump. Uncle Steve fixed it, and they took it to Indiana to give it to him while he was still in Indiana with Mr. Carpenter. And he did a news segment there, too, for Indy's Finest. Sabrina had put a gun out on Dezmond. I think she was high. But she kept messing with him over again, and he can't. That's no best friends. I'm not your best friend. I'm your relative. I'm not your best friend. I'm your friend. I'm not your best friend. Just your friend, your relative. That's all. Everything on this Facebook page I've set up to now is the same thing, and they're still doing the same thing. So what are you guys doing, right? The Morris lied to the police officer I really was across the street. She seen the whole thing. There was no fight. There was no knife. There was no arguing. Dezmond told the police that he had to call an ambulance. He was going to AFib again. The ambulance came and did not take Dezmond to the hospital. Dezmond was free to leave. The police officer handcuffed him right then and there. Instead of taking him to the doctor, he took him and set him there and waited. And then he said, well, is there somewhere who can take him? I mean, what jail can we put him in and hold him like that? Dezmond was in the jail for 3 months. He was released the same day. The same thing with Fulton County. He was released right away. He was called 3 times in DeKalb County. Gwinnett County, the judge released Dezmond immediately when they seen his face right underneath his profile. The police just messed with Dezmond again a couple of weeks ago, the same police officer. So, yes, he's having heart attacks and stroke. He's not in his own house or anything right now. Ephraim or Jay? Where's the name? Fulton County illegally. This is, there's also, I also own I'm also part owner of the Waterfront too. It's another one of the development companies in Fortune 500. Dezmond went home to Indianapolis to his Uncle Tony Carpenter's house. His mother was not out of surgery yet. She was still in Georgia. She didn't make it home right away. It wasn't his mother that was in Indianapolis or at her own house. It was somebody else. So Mark and Roger and MJ and the postman, which is Red, were all at the point. Who was in Indianapolis at the point. Dez also did a small segment, for the complex, and to show them what needed to be fixed, how to fix everything, and so forth. Dez was supposed to return to Georgia and went back to finish line. Firestone and back to his own apartment. Instead, they chased him, they bothered, and they stole almost more than $100,000 out of his pension. He won money on scratch-off. The dude said 7.5% on the dollar for it to be cashed and so forth, and never gave him his money. Dezmond signed the back of the scratch-off, and he paid for the scratch-off in Conyers at the BP gas station on the left, going down that way to the house down there that Nikki and them used to live in. And they used to be our Pam in the house. And that Pam used to live in Denver, Colorado. It's Stuart, Jamie, Alex, and her family. And this is her other nephew on Pauline's side, and Uncle Allen. She's married like 2 or 3 times. Well, since then, we got back in town, whatever, COVID hit. All of Dezmond's money supposed to be in the account. They kept trying to surprise Dezmond, and everything kept going wrong, and they kept telling them the same people that are around are the same people who have not given him his money or anything. Dez is in all these wheels, and he is in these wheels. Dez has lived in Georgia for 17 years. He went home for only a couple of months, so they got well enough to come back to stay because he could not leave his kids here then. And that person that's going to say, I'm not going to allow him to do anything. I'm not going to allow him. All like that, needs to leave. Dezmond, Dez is not no broke dude. Dez will never be homeless or anything. Dez has never had the same individual steal from him back to back to back and go to jail and then get out to steal and do the same thing back to back to back. But they are absolutely getting put the hell down because that's what should have happened. So, from there to now, there's nothing but lawsuits going on and money getting ready to be put in Mr. Smiles' account because I am the owner of $17 million property. I know where everything is. I know who's doing what. I know who's saying what. I know where everybody is. The only person I had nieces and nephews missing. My granddaughter was missing. They finally found her. I'm the only one waiting for them. Apparently, I asked the relatives and them to make sure they find my kids and keep them with them, because that's where they belong, with me. One of the relatives died. I don't know if it was Eric in Kentucky, Eric in Indianapolis, Antoine's friend, Whitley friend, And then another relative passed away, and I had been right here the whole time waiting for everybody. The only thing we see Tyler was trendy. David gave Dezmond money. He didn't do anything he was supposed to do. Every time Dezmond tried to call his own brother, Pappy would hang the phone up on him, cuss Dezmond out, all kind of shit. And when I said I was gonna kick his fucking ass, I'm his uncle. I don't give a shit what no one got to say. I would kick his ass. He should have did what he was supposed to done instead of stealing from my mother. He shouldn't have been around my mother. If she's in Atlanta, I needed to know. And they didn't tell me where she was. They haven't even spoken to me. Nobody has. I didn't even know LaDonna was in Georgia. How my cousins moved here from Indianapolis to Georgia and then leave me outside, and I'm the owner of most of the stuff here. Where is my packages? Where is all my mail? There's a case for the mail pending. There's a case for fraud in the jail. Falsified police report, straight down. They just stole money through an Uber app, directly from Google's control panel system at the Google's hours. On the other end, there's customer service, there's tech support, and there's people that know how to hack your phones. So here we are. So now, it's a new year. I've been at my friend's house for almost 3 weeks. I still haven't got to my house. I'm waiting patiently for the guys to take me on home so I can get myself back together. I'm not doing any more state work. I'm not going to be no field agent. My heart's damaged now. I got to get ready to stay in the house. I'm supposed to be working in music and signed, and everything's supposed to be moving smoothly. Dezmond had no police record. We've been watching Andre Dickinson's tap Dezmond's cell phone. Dezmond is asking for help. Almost 5-6 years ago, when Miss Bottoms was available, he had asked her to, did you guys read every single thing that Dezmond told you? And if you did, and you didn't do anything about it, and you know Dezmond's in his wills, then you guys are not really good family members, are you? So what are you doing? This is business, and I have not done no business with him. This will get you all locked up. He asked for assistance from his family. And Dezmond also did write those movies, and they are published. So he asked his family to leave all you guys alone, step back, and see what's wrong. I was paralyzed a couple of weeks ago. I had a heart attack at Hope, Atlanta. The lady put me out of the place and did not do what they're supposed to do. I called the ambulance. The ambulance did not come and pick me up. And then I found out someone was blocking my cell phone right then and there. And I laid there for almost an hour and a half on the phone, and they did not come and get me. So I don't know what they're supposed to do with that at all. They should have taken care of that situation with my house, and they should have given me back my car. But they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So that's why I'm on the phone with you now. So I will call you back.